Hey guys, Matt here. Toolchanger 3D printers seem to be all the rage right now, and it's easy to see why. The ability to print in multicolor or multi-material with near zero waste is huge, and the newest member to this club is the Flashforge Creator 5, which is a budget-friendly tool changer, starting at just $699, or just over £500. But is it even worth this price? And how does it stack up against other similar printers like the Snapmaker U1? We'll discuss all of this in today's video. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. Flashforge did send me the printer for free, however they haven't had any influence on the content of this review, so don't worry about that. And just to clarify, I'll be talking about the base Creator 5, not the Pro version. I haven't been sent the Pro version. I will mention it here and there, but I can't talk specifically about that. Anyway, let's talk about the good, the meh, and the ugly of this printer. Starting out positively with the good parts, the unboxing and setup of this printer is actually really easy. I think probably the easiest printer I've put together. There's really only a few parts you have to put together and screw. This does include the extruder unit though, which is one piece at least, but it can be a bit finicky to get in, so just be careful that you don't bend or break anything when you're doing that. On that topic, I think the printer build quality is pretty good. It seems pretty sturdy. Like there are some plastic parts, like the main outer casing is plastic, but it does seem quite sturdy and metal underneath. I mentioned in my previous review of the Snapmaker U1 that the sides feel a bit flimsy and plasticky, but it's good to see that this printer doesn't have that problem. I think this actually seems a lot sturdier. It does vibrate quite a lot while printing though, so make sure you put it on a nice stable surface. The table I have mine on probably isn't the best surface for it, so maybe that's why mine seems to vibrate quite a lot, but it's just something worth bearing in mind. It is also surprisingly quiet for an open-top printer. It is a lot quieter than the Snapmaker U1, and a decent amount quieter to the Bambu Lab P1S, which I've got it right next to on the table. Speaking of being open-top, the standard version doesn't have a lid or door, so it is fully exposed, kind of like the Bambu Lab P1P back in the day, which might be a deal breaker for some people, but I imagine they will release an enclosure kit at some point to install your own doors and lid, or you can go the Snapmaker route and install some kind of DIY top lid solution. I haven't done that, although at some point maybe I will, to keep the dust out at least. So getting to the print itself, this is where it really shines. As I mentioned earlier, the ability to do multicolor and multi-material printing with near zero waste is pretty amazing, especially coming from previous single nozzle printers, which produce an insane amount of waste. Printing stuff like this with no purge waste is just crazy to me, and it also looks really good. I haven't had any particular issues with the print quality, if anyone is wondering. I think it's pretty comparable to Snapmaker U1 and Bambu Lab printers, like no obvious defects or anything, so pretty good thumbs up on that department. There is also mixed filament or full spectrum printing available in the slicer. This means you can mix filament colors in alternating layers to trick your eyes into thinking you've made new colors. This is functionally identical to full spectrum printing in Snapmaker Orca and also mixed filament printing in Bambu Studio, I think it's called. And I've covered this in previous videos, so I won't talk about it too much here, but it is available if you want to use that too. In terms of multi-material printing, this is perhaps best used for using dedicated support materials for your prints. So if you're printing with PLA, you can use PETG as a support and vice versa, because these materials don't stick well to each other, and this allows you to get a much cleaner support interface. I have covered this topic in way more detail in a video, which you can click here if you want to check it out. But just know with a multi-tool head printer, this is much more efficient because you don't have to purge excessively between different material changes. Another really useful thing you can do with this printer is multicolor TPU printing, which you can't really do on traditional single nozzle printers. I haven't done a lot of this, although I have printed a few things, such as this squishy football on the Creator 5, and this printed pretty well. I don't think my TPU was particularly dry, so there was a lot of stringing, but that's a me problem. And for this, I just loaded the filaments on the regular spool holders. I didn't do any top mounting or loading from a dryer, and it handled it pretty well. And this was 95A TPU, although I have done exactly the same setup for 90A TPU, and that was also okay. Besides stringing again, so it'd probably be worth printing directly from a dryer, not cowboying it like I did. Now let's talk about the meh or okay things about this printer. Firstly is the build plates. This printer uses 256mm cubed build plates, although they are slightly bigger than Bambu Lab 256 build plates, which is weird. But anyway, the included textured PLA sheet is okay, it's not great. I found quite a lot of adhesion issues with PLA and PETG, so essentially if you're printing exclusively them, you might want to upgrade to a different plate. Unfortunately, there aren't many third-party plates available at the moment. For example, Biku, which have really good cold plates for most other 3D printers, don't have anything for the Creator 5 family yet. I assume they will at some point, but maybe it's just too early. Therefore, we've had to get creative with our cold plate selection. I've been using this one, which is actually intended for the Creality SparkX i7, but funnily enough, it fits essentially perfectly on the Creator 5. This was pointed out in a video by Mike's Questlog, so shout out to him for recommending this build plate, and it's worked surprisingly well as a cold plate for this printer. The only thing I changed was selecting the cool plate super tack in the slicer as the cold plate of choice. IBIOS have just released some cold plates for their Creator 5, which do look good, but I haven't personally tried them, but they are there if you want to try them. Something that could be bad for some people but good for others is the fact that the loading and unloading of filament is manual on this printer, which is actually fairly simple, but it can be annoying sometimes. Especially if you've come from printers that have auto-loading for everything. Something that is a bit annoying though is the fact that the filament run-out centers are in the extruder unit, which isn't in the tool heads. So if you do run out of filament during a print, the amount of filament from the extruder unit to the tool head will be wasted. You just have to pull it out and throw it away. Unless I'm missing something, that is. A few other things which are okay are the phone app and the slicer. So I haven't used the app much, to be honest. I don't ever print directly from the app and I don't really monitor the printer through there. But it seems okay, fairly intuitive, and pretty similar to other mobile 3D printing apps. The slicer is also okay, it runs off Orca, so it's pretty familiar to anyone who's used Bamboo Studio or other Orca forks before. However, I have found it's very slow and laggy on my computer. And it's definitely not my computer because other slicers work fine, and my computer is fairly good, so it's definitely not that. But overall it's fine, it does the job. The touchscreen on the printer itself is okay, it's not super responsive though. For example, during a print, when it's gone into sleep mode, you have to press it multiple times before it actually wakes up. Maybe it's just my printer though. Manually controlling the tool heads is a bit unintuitive too. The way to actually attach each tool head doesn't make much sense to me. It took me a while to work it out because it is not obvious. Finally, for the okay parts is the maintenance of the printer. I haven't actually done any major maintenance on the printer yet, although I am at about 1,000 hours now, so maybe this will be happening soon. I may make a follow-up video covering this though. But yeah, the only reason I put this in the okay part is because I haven't done it, so I don't know if it's good or bad yet. Finally, let's talk about the bad parts of this printer. I think the main one people have seen is that during filament purges, the printer just poops directly onto itself. There isn't a dedicated poop bucket. Other printers tend to have a dedicated poop bucket or at least purge outside of the printer. This is, or at least was, a major issue on the Pro version because where the filament was purging was directly in front of a ventilation fan. So if left unchecked, the filament could get sucked into that fan, which could have been a major fire hazard. In response to the backlash surrounding this, Flashforge updated the firmware so that the printer now purges at the back of the printer away from the ventilation fan, which to me is a bit of a band-aid fix, and they also applied it to the regular Creator 5, not just the Pro version, and the regular Creator 5 didn't need it because it doesn't have that ventilation fan there for the heated chamber. So hopefully they can come up with a more long-term fix in the future. Also, the wiper for after purging is at the front of the printer, so with it purging at the back, it no longer does that anymore, which again shows it's not a long-term fix. Also, for anyone who printed a DIY poop bucket, now has to print a different one to fit on the back instead. On the plus side, I actually haven't been able to update to this newest firmware, and I'll explain why. Essentially, since I've had the printer, I haven't been able to reliably connect to the Wi-Fi at all. As a result, I haven't been able to send prints through the slicer either via the cloud or LAN mode, so I've been printing off a USB stick the whole time I've had the printer. Which at least I had this option, I guess. Some printers don't have a USB port or even an SD slot, so that would have made it very difficult for me. I have tried all the logical things to fix this, such as factory resetting multiple times, disconnecting and reconnecting to the Wi-Fi, connecting to my phone hotspot instead of my actual Wi-Fi, and I've even had a new Wi-Fi router since using this printer, and that hasn't helped either. The problem is that the printer thinks it is connected to the Wi-Fi, so the symbol for Wi-Fi is there, and it says it's connected in the settings, but every other part of it says it's not, like I can't discover it in my slicer or see it in the phone app either. Only a few times has it actually connected successfully and allowed me to send prints, but probably less than 3 times. I may try some more advanced measures in the future, such as custom firmware or even a static IP address, although I think I have to pay for that from my internet provider, so I'm not sure if I want to go that route. It may well also just be a hardware issue with my printer which can't be fixed. Flashforge are aware of this issue I'm having, so I have been in contact with them about it, and to their credit, they have tried to fix it and been working through things with me, although so far none of their fixes have worked. And since the last thing they told me to try didn't work, they've essentially gone radio silent on me and haven't replied to any of my emails or messages, which may just be a coincidence, but I'm just trying to be transparent here. If this issue ever does get fixed, then I will pin a comment below or maybe even make a follow-up video, but yeah, for now it's quite frustrating. Another thing is that there is still no official spare parts available for this printer, so if something breaks like a nozzle, you just gotta hope Flashforge send you a replacement, otherwise you are stuck. This is insane to me, but on that topic is the whole fiasco with the shipping of this printer. Some people who ordered as soon as they could at the end of April haven't even received their printer yet, they don't even have shipping information, they don't know when they'll get it. I think some people are being told August or September, which is insane. It does seem like they've had some supply and shipping issues, which is understandable, these things happen, but they have been quite silent with communicating this. So if they could be a bit more transparent with this, I think a lot of people would appreciate that. All in all, these issues make the printer feel a bit beta testy, which is not a good look at all. So would I recommend you buy this printer? Unfortunately, right now, I think the answer is no. There are still a lot of issues that need to be ironed out. But once these hopefully get fixed and spare parts are readily available, I think this printer is a great option, especially as it's $200 cheaper than the Snapmaker U1. For that price, you're still getting great quality prints and near zero waste multicolor and multi-material prints. If you are interested in getting the Creator 5 or Creator 5 Pro though, you can use this code to get a discount on the official website. I'm interested to hear the thoughts of any prospective buyers or anyone who already owns the Creator 5 in the comments below. With that being said though, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more 3D printing tips, tutorials and reviews. See you in the next one. Bye!